Your brain is the only hardware that actively tries to sabotage its own rest cycle by running phantom threat simulations in the dark. Today, we'll audit the default mode network, testing how total silence triggers a catastrophic survival loop at 3 a.m. We will track this fatal memory leak all the way to a guaranteed system crash just 3 minutes before your morning alarm rings. Hit that like button before your brain.exe overheats, and subscribe to survive the night. Protocol initialized. At 11:45 p.m., you are a walking corpse. Your eyes burn, your limbs weigh a ton, and your couch looks like the ultimate salvation. Biologically, you are flooded with adenosine, the neurotransmitter screaming at you to shut down. You barely manage to brush your teeth without falling asleep standing up. The mission is simple. Get to the mattress, close eyes, enter sleep mode. It is a foolproof plan, a biological guarantee. But you forgot about the pillow proximity paradox. The exact millisecond your ear touches the cotton fabric, the OS intercepts a critical error. Instantly, your adenosine receptors are violently flushed, and your eyes snap open. Congratulations, you are now aggressively awake. This is the paradox. The bed is a charging dock that somehow drains your battery. 5 minutes ago, you could have slept on a pile of Lego bricks. Now, lying on a premium memory foam mattress, your brain feels like it just snorted pre-workout. You try to force it. You squeeze your eyes shut like a child pretending to be asleep. But manual override doesn't work on the subconscious. You flip the pillow to the cool side. It buys you exactly 12 seconds of relief. The coolness fades. The silence in the room grows deafening. And your operating system realizes it has absolutely nothing to do. The human brain is a high-performance engine that absolutely despises being parked in the garage. When you eliminate all external stimuli, your operating system detects 0 active tasks. To the prehistoric code still running in your head, 0 input means you are either dead or about to be. To prevent a system freeze, the OS forcefully launches its background diagnostic tool. The default mode network is designed to handle harmless daydreaming, future planning, and passive memory sorting. It's the mental equivalent of a harmless screensaver bouncing around your monitor. But at 3 a.m., in total darkness, that screensaver turns into malicious ransomware. You are lying perfectly still. The bedroom is utterly silent. And the brain absolutely hates silence. It immediately boots up an internal radar to scan the perimeter for lurking predators. But since you live in a secure apartment and not a Paleolithic cave, the radar finds nothing. No predators detected? Impossible, says your paranoid OS. The sensors must be broken.
So it artificially boosts the sensitivity of your auditory cortex by 300%.
The soft, harmless hum of your refrigerator in the kitchen is now processed by your hardware as the low growl of an approaching beast. Then, the house settles, causing a microscopic creak in the floorboards.
The DMN flags this microacoustic anomaly as a Level 9 security breach.
Your physical body is completely immobilized under a heavy duvet, safely tucked in, but mentally, you are running a tactical sweep on every single shadow in the room. The closet door is open, exactly half an inch. Logic dictates it is just a pile of laundry draped over a chair, but the default mode network does not run on logic. It runs on prehistoric survival scripts that prioritize panic over peace. The threat simulation is now fully active, and it needs targets. Since no actual physical threats have breached your bedroom door, your brain decides to manufacture its own emergency. Deep within your skull, the amygdala hits the giant red panic button, usually reserved for bear attacks. Instantly, your adrenal glands dump a massive payload of cortisol straight into your bloodstream. The physiological response is immediate and entirely unnecessary. At 60 beats per minute, you are peacefully resting. At 90 beats per minute, you are engaged in a brisk, healthy walk. Right now, completely horizontal and buried under a blanket, you hit 120 BPM. Mathematically, your body is fully prepped to sprint away from a saber-toothed tiger. But practically, you are soft-locked in a cocoon of Egyptian cotton. Your muscles tense up involuntarily, preparing for brutal hand-to-hand combat. But your only opponent in this arena is a decorative throw pillow. Your prefrontal cortex, the logic module, attempts a desperate system override. We are in a secure apartment on the 4th floor, it calculates logically. The survival network responds by throwing the logic module into a digital dumpster and setting it on fire. Artificial survival mode does not accept logic, it only accepts action. Breathing automatically switches from background process to manual control. Suddenly, every inhale sounds like a Category 5 hurricane inside your own skull. You try to breathe quieter so the imaginary intruder doesn't hear you. Your core temperature spikes. The thermostat is set to 68 degrees, but your body is a furnace. The OS runs a final visual scan of the bedroom perimeter. Visual scan complete. 0 physical threats detected. Your brain is now overflowing with military-grade panic juice and has absolutely nothing to attack. It needs a target. It demands a target to justify the adrenaline. And if the threat isn't outside in the dark, it must be inside your head. To resolve the error of having panic juice but no panic source, the OS accesses your long-term storage. It bypasses all your proudest achievements, automatically tagging them as useless for survival. Instead, the system drills straight down to the hazardous waste sector. Welcome to the Cringe vault. Your brain rapidly sorts through thousands of repressed memories, looking for maximum emotional damage. It finds a flawless match. Date modified, a decade ago. Executing file. You are at a coffee shop. A vaguely familiar person waves enthusiastically in your direction. You wave back with 0 hesitation, only to realize they were waving to their friend standing directly behind you. Your hand hovers in the air, a monument to your utter lack of spatial awareness. To your primitive brain, social rejection equals getting kicked out of the tribe. Getting kicked out of the tribe equals death by starvation in the winter wilderness. Therefore, waving at the wrong person is a mortal threat that requires immediate survival analysis. The OS puts the memory on an inescapable loop, rendering every painful microsecond in 4K resolution. You try to apply rational patches to the memory. The barista didn't even notice, you tell yourself. The default mode network immediately rejects the patch and zooms in on the barista's face. He noticed. He definitely noticed. And he probably told everyone. Your body physically reacts to a threat that only exists in a decade-old server cache. You are sweating profusely over a social interaction that the other party forgot 30 seconds after it happened. But the DMN isn't finished. It notices you are vulnerable and decides to initiate combo attacks. Loading secondary file. Calling your 4th grade teacher mom. Loading tertiary file. That joke you told at a party in 2021 that met with complete deafening silence. Your brain is now stress testing your emotional stability using a highlight reel of your absolute worst moments. You attempt a desperate maneuver, forced thought suppression. You command your brain, do not think about the coffee shop. This invokes the psychological principle of ironic rebound. By ordering the system to monitor for the forbidden thought, you ensure it stays permanently active in the RAM. The memory is now pinned to your mental dashboard. You cannot delete it. You can only suffer. And speaking of mourning, your OS just noticed the clock. Looking at the clock is the absolute worst mistake you can make at this hour. Those glowing red numbers do not just tell time. They declare a countdown to your misery. Your brain immediately switches from threat detection to advanced sleep calculus. It is 3:14 a.m. The alarm is set for 7 a.m. That leaves exactly 3 hours and 46 minutes. This is the metacognitive time trap. You are no longer trying to sleep. You are trying to meet a rapidly shrinking biological deadline. Sleep has transformed from a natural necessity into a hostile negotiation with your own operating system. You formulate a new plan. If I fall asleep in exactly 5 minutes, I can still get a solid 3.5 hours. 3.5 hours is scientifically categorized as a nap. but you will take it. 5 minutes pass. You are still aggressively awake. The math updates automatically. Okay, 3 hours and 30 minutes. Still doable. The anxiety of not sleeping becomes the exact physiological reason you cannot sleep. It is a flawless, self-sustaining, infinite loop of recursive panic. Your prefrontal cortex projects a horrifying simulation of tomorrow's morning meeting. You see yourself sitting at your desk, functioning on 2 hours of rest, looking like a reanimated corpse. This future vision spikes your cortisol again, instantly resetting your physical relaxation to 0. You try to trick your own operating system. I don't even want to sleep. I am just resting my eyes. The OS instantly sees through this pathetic lie. You start calculating sleep cycles. A full REM cycle is 90 minutes. I can fit exactly 2 if I pass out right now. To achieve this, you need to transition from fully alert to deep delta waves in 0 seconds. That is biologically impossible without general anesthesia. The clock ticks to 3:45 a.m. The negotiation becomes desperate. 2 hours. 2 hours is enough. Famous CEOs only sleep 2 hours a night. You are not a famous CEO. You are a mid-level employee who cries when the office printer jams. At 4 a.m., you reach the final bargaining phase. I just need 30 minutes of core shutdown. Your brain responds by completely disabling the sleep module and enabling the existential dread module. You realize you are going to be fully awake when the birds start singing. Hearing the first bird chirp while you are still in bed is the universal audio cue for total defeat. The darkness of the room is no longer a resting place. It is a sensory deprivation chamber of your own making. Desperate to break the calculation loop, your hand blindly reaches out into the dark, searching for the screen. In a desperate bid to reset your overheated brain, your hand reaches out and grabs the cold, unforgiving rectangle of your smartphone. At 4 in the morning, unlocking your screen is the biological equivalent of staring directly into a detonating supernova. A massive wave of blue light hits your retinas, instantly sending a priority message to your pineal gland. The message is simple. The sun has exploded. Terminate all melatonin production immediately. You tell yourself you are just going to read one boring article to make your eyes tired. But your thumb has its own autonomous nervous system. It opens the short video app. The algorithm has been waiting for you. It knows you are weak, tired, and completely defenseless. First video, a guy aggressively washing a rug in time-lapse. It is objectively worthless content, but your starving brain accepts the microdose of dopamine like a dying man accepts water. Swipe, next video, someone explaining why the global economy is going to collapse by Tuesday. Your cortisol levels, which were already high, now officially break the sound barrier. Swipe, next video, a compilation of people falling off boats. The doom scroll protocol overwrites your perception of time completely. What feels like 3 minutes of swiping is actually a devastating 45-minute temporal black hole. Panic sets in. You immediately search for relaxing ASMR rain sounds to force yourself back to sleep. The video starts, but the algorithm inserts an unskippable 15-second ad for a mobile strategy game at maximum volume. Your acoustic startle reflex is triggered, dumping fresh adrenaline into your tired veins. You finally reach the rain sounds. You close your eyes, holding the glowing phone against your chest like a magical amulet, but your brain is no longer interested in sleep. It wants to know if someone replied to your comment on a pizza review from 2019. You open the comment section. You see a reply from user ShadowSniper99 calling your pizza opinion garbage. The default mode network completely abandons survival mode to focus 100% of its processing power on winning a fake argument. You type out a brutal 3-paragraph essay dismantling their logic. You are sweating. You are a warrior. And then your grip falters. The smartphone slips and falls flat onto the bridge of your nose. The physical impact is accompanied by the profound psychological humiliation of being assaulted by your own device. The screen locks. You are forced to look at your own distorted reflection in the black glass. You look like a hostage in a cyber dystopia who hasn't seen the sun in weeks. You toss the phone face down onto the mattress. The scrolling is over, but the damage is done. Your brain is now buzzing with useless data, arguments, and blue light radiation. You close your eyelids, but you can still see the phantom afterimage of the feed scrolling endlessly in the dark. The digital noise fades, leaving you alone with your physical vessel. Suddenly, you feel it. A microscopic flutter in your left pectoral region. To a rational mind, this is a minor muscle spasm caused by sleeping like a folded lawn chair. But to the 4 a.m. default mode network, it is the undeniable herald of imminent cardiac arrest. All processing power is immediately diverted from anxiety to somatic monitoring. You hold your breath, waiting for the next flutter to confirm your doom. You press 2 fingers to your neck, searching for a pulse with the grace of a panicked paramedic. Your heart rate is elevated because you are panicking, because you are checking your pulse. The OS concludes this is a vicious cycle that can only end in tragedy. The phone is retrieved. You open the search engine, the ultimate oracle of doom. You type, slight chest flutter, weird feeling, left arm not sleeping. The algorithm, optimized for engagement through terror, returns 40 million results in 0.3 seconds. Result 1, mild indigestion. Result 2, dehydration. Result 3, a highly aggressive, ultra-rare syndrome that affects 3 people globally. Your brain completely ignores the first 2 and locks onto result 3 like a heat-seeking missile. You begin reading the symptoms. Do you experience severe fatigue? You have not slept in 20 hours. Yes, you experience fatigue. Check. Do you experience sudden, unexplained sweating? You are sweating profusely because you are convinced you are dying. Check. Do you have a heavy feeling in your limbs? Your left arm is completely numb because you have been lying on it for an hour. Check. It is a perfect match. You are statistically the 4th person on Earth to get this disease. The hypochondria module initiates a full system lockdown. You start calculating the logistics of calling an ambulance at 4:30 a.m. If they use the siren, they will wake the neighbors. That is socially unacceptable. You decide it is better to potentially perish in silence than to cause a mild noise disturbance. You scroll down to the treatment section of the article, desperate for a cure. The glowing screen delivers the ultimate biological punchline. To prevent severe exacerbation of symptoms, ensure you get at least 8 hours of high-quality sleep. The irony is so dense, it creates a gravitational singularity in your bedroom. It is 5:15 a.m. You have entered the end game. The chemical panic has finally burned out, leaving only a hollow, vibrating exhaustion. You are now officially soft-locked in your own bed. You cannot sleep, but you also lack the physical energy to get up and start your day. You are a highly evolved primate trapped in a purgatory of Egyptian cotton. To move a single muscle now requires a formal written request to the central nervous system. The request is instantly denied. You are a prisoner in your own flesh. You lie perfectly still, staring at the exact same patch of plaster on the ceiling. Your brain, completely out of rational thoughts, starts generating procedural garbage. Do penguins have knees? If I eat a silica gel packet, do I become immortal? This is the hypnagogic state, the literal gateway to actual restorative sleep. Your logic firewall is shutting down, allowing surreal, dreamlike data to leak into the RAM. You hallucinate a giant floating toaster. This is good. The system is powering down. But the default mode network detects the absurdity of the toaster. Wait, the DMN says. That makes no sense. Wake up and analyze the tactical implications of the toaster. Boom. You are snapped back to brutal, high-definition reality. The toaster vanishes, replaced by the grim, terrifying silhouette of your laundry chair. Your OS is acting like an overzealous corporate spam filter, intentionally blocking your own dreams. Dream file flagged as unprofessional. Deleting file. Administering forced wakefulness. The ambient light in the room shifts from pitch black to a depressing, bruised purple. The pre-dawn light, objectively the most insulting color on the visible spectrum. It faintly illuminates the dust particles dancing mockingly in the air above your face. Your internal body temperature finally begins to drop. You pull the blanket up to your chin. Your body is trying to execute the nocturnal cooling protocol exactly 5 hours too late. You accept your fate. You are a defective biological machine that has failed its primary directive. You lie there and calculate the exact lethal dose of caffeine required to survive the morning meeting. The math demands 3 double espressos, a questionable energy drink, and a minor miracle. Your heart rate stabilizes not from relaxation, but from a low, defeated hum of biological resignation. The rumination loop finally runs out of RAM and crashes into a fatal exception error. You close your eyes, not to sleep, but out of sheer surrender to the absolute void. At 6:57 a.m., your operating system finally exhausts its supply of artificial panic juice. The default mode network collapses under the weight of its own absurd, paranoid logic. Your cortisol levels plummet, and the heavy, irresistible blanket of true biological exhaustion takes over. Instantly, without warning, your brain skips all the light phases and nosedives straight into stage 4 deep sleep. It is the most perfect, restorative, cellular-level hibernation you have ever experienced. For the first time in 7 hours, you are achieving actual biological peace. You have exactly 180 seconds to enjoy it. Your brain enters a critical repair sequence, frantically trying to fix the neurological damage it caused all night. The timer ticks down. 6:58 a.m. 6:59 a.m. You are in the deepest trench of the Mariana sleep cycle. The repair bots have just unpacked their toolboxes. The cells are finally hydrating. And then, the 7 a.m. alarm initiates its launch sequence. Beep, beep, beep. You are violently ripped from the cellular repair process like a USB drive yanked out during a firmware update. Your eyes snap open, but your soul remains trapped in the shadow realm. The audit is complete. Your brain successfully burned 8 hours of battery on absolutely nothing. Game over. You now have to go to work and pretend to be a functioning human being. Hit subscribe before your default mode network loads your next cringe memory at 4 a.m. And please, do not look at the clock tonight. Protocol terminated.